hindsight, guys, I could have had a damn heart attack. I literally could have died reckless. I remember in bed just being like...
And I was feeling a bit peckish, so I had a Pop-Tart, a whole bag, which is about, I think, 500 calories or so.
And this is when things start to get bad. What is up, and welcome back to the channel. Today, guys, we're going to review Larry Wheel's video on I gained 53 pounds in 5 days. I'm going to tell you guys exactly how to avoid getting the post-show bloat, things you can do to prevent that, and what you just need to understand going into either a hard cut diet, competition prep, or some kind of transformation to make sure you avoid this happening, because guess what? It happened to me too. Let's get into it.
And I'm not going to talk about the show in this video. I'm just going to talk about what I ate and the astronomical amount of weight gain I've had since then.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there. Let me give you guys some just like personal experience. I'm obviously a coach, and I give this speech every single time I have competitors competing. I say to every one of them individually, and I say this literally to them: you need to be smart and listen to everything I say, because the prep is not done when the show's done. The prep is basically done around 6 to 8 weeks after. But I've already said this, but one of you guys are not going to listen, and you're going to gain about 20 to 50 pounds in a few days. By Wednesday, you're going to have fat ankles, and you're going to be pissed. So if you want to avoid that, listen to me. I say it every single time, and there's always one person every time that it happens to. And guess what? It happened to me too.
So this is my first time getting fully depleted for a show. I did use diuretics to make weight and to have that dry, hard look on stage. And I had to use them twice within a 3-day period because I had to make weight twice for 2 different shows back to back.
So when it comes down to competition prep, number one, you're already basically dieting for X amount of weeks. Start at 16 weeks, maybe even 12 weeks, whatever it is. You're slowly decreasing calories, your exercise activity level is high, you're trying to burn fat, and while you're burning fat, losing fat, you're also losing water. And then when it comes to showtime, you cut your water. And you cut your water a few different ways. Number one, you can cut water without using diuretics. You can use natural things like dandelion leaf or dandelion root. You can do something like caffeine, coffee, just regular, normal ways of just basically stopping drinking water. Because basically what happens is when you stop drinking water, your body's like, we need to basically push more water in. So while you cut the water out, your body basically wants to push more water in. So the whole reason why you do like a water load, or why people do water loading or make sure they drink enough water, because as soon as you stop drinking water, your body basically pushes the water out and then tries to introduce more water in. Now that's when diuretics come in. Diuretics are one of those things that are like a guarantee control the amount of water in your body. You take a diuretic, diazide, aldactone, don't worry about what the difference are. Lasix, regardless of it, what they are for primarily are for those who have like extreme edema, high blood pressure, those things that help regulate the overall influx of like water. So when you take a diuretic, it's a guarantee that the water is going to leave your body 100%. The only problem with that is that the water has to go back. Remember, our bodies are always trying to bring it back to baseline, homeostasis, back to the regular place it was. That's what a body wants to do. When you're bodybuilding, you're doing everything your body basically does not want to do when it comes to just basic physiology, biology, the works, right? So if you take a diuretic, the rebound is going to be that much worse than if you did it basically naturally. Hey guys, check it out. If you want to grab one of my beanies, hit the link in the description below. They're on my site right now. Get yours right now. Let's get back to the show.
So when using diuretics, there's a rebound. Now, I fully intended to binge eat after the show as a reward for the hard work of 6-week starvation I put myself through.
That is the 100% the biggest mistake that every bodybuilder makes. And I'm going to tell you this personally. My first show did the exact same thing that Larry Wheels did. Basically what happened was this. My first show, my coach basically ditched me like my first show wasn't Greg. Don't worry about that. Don't think it's Greg. Either way. My last 6 weeks of my show, my coach basically had to compete himself, and he was gonzo. I left to my own demise to be able to figure this thing out. I have no clue what bodybuilding basically is in terms of like the last 6 weeks. All I knew was I needed to have a diuretic of some sort, and I had to cut water, cut whatever, and then after all that was done, I was gonna eat. So what happens? And I'll tell you exactly what happened is extremely ridiculous and stupid. I took a Lasix the day before the show. Lasix are one of those diuretics that basically you use the day of, or like if you're in desperate need to get the water out, it's for those who have extreme edema and need the water out of their body extremely fast. I somehow got Lasix from a buddy. I had no clue how to really do it. It's an injectable. I took it the day before and I peed out everything. Not only did I do that, but also didn't drink water since like Thursday. I get it. Absolutely stupid, absolutely reckless. I had no clue what I was doing, but guess what? There are people watching this video right now that have probably done the same thing, or might even do it. So I'm telling you guys why you do not do this. Anyway, prior to the show, me and my training partner decided we're gonna go stockpile up on all the good treats and goodies that we're gonna reward ourselves after for dieting really hard and starving ourselves. And we're gonna fill ourselves back up. And we did just that. Went to the bulk barn and grabbed a bunch of, clod hoppers, gobstoppers, chocolates, chocolate-covered almonds, everything. Like, I spent about $60 on a big-ass bag, put in the back of the car, in the trunk, make sure we couldn't touch it, and then we're gonna just feast after the show. During the show, that's when I got sponsored for the first time. They had this, they had a little booth with BCAAs. As soon as the show was done, I was thirsty. I ran over that, grabbed a 2-liter, put under the freaking the dispenser, filled the thing up with BCAAs, the whole entire thing, and just slammed back every single bit of every drop of it. 2 of them. About 4 liters I just guzzled all the way back, and then went to that trunk, opened the trunk, ate all that food on the way to getting pizza. And I was gonna eat all the pizza in the world too because I deserved it. I deserved all of the goodies that came to me because I worked so damn hard to diet my face off. And I did just that. My plan was to go out that night. Guess what? I passed the hell out. And then I woke up the next day. And you look good. Veiny as ever. Muscles popping. We need to do a photo shoot. I looked great. And guess what? The next day, it's been a long time since I had a really delicious breakfast. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna get my favorite breakfast. And not only am I gonna get my favorite breakfast, I'm gonna get all my favorite breakfasts. All in one. Pancakes, French toast, bacon, eggs, just fruit, the works. The syrup had syrup on top of it, had syrup on top of it, and then had some icing on top of it. And then, I'm hungry again. I'm gonna have some sushi. And binge on that too. And guess what? I was coaching at that time and I had to walk to my client. This is at the beginning of my career, basically coaching, transformation coaching, basically as a bodybuilding coach. And I was going over to train my athlete, and my athlete was a doctor, and I walked over there, and like halfway it was about a 15-minute walk, and about 5 minutes I had to stop, and I was like, oh my God, what the H? And it was like painful. My ankles were sore, my back was hurting. I was like, what the heck? And then I walked another 5 minutes, I had to take another break. Then I walked another 5 minutes, took another break. And then I was finally there. Then I had to walk home. Got my ass home. I was like, what is going on? Took my shoe off, looked at my ankles like, what the F? My foot was double the size. In hindsight, guys, I could have had a damn heart attack. I literally could have died reckless. Now, funny thing is that my coach all of a sudden popped back up, and I called him, he messaged me, and I'm like, hey, yo, man, my ankles, they're killing me, my back, help. And he's like, oh, man, you just got the carb pumps. I'm like, oh, that's all it is? Yeah, okay, I guess I gotta do whatever. And I don't even remember how I rebounded from that rebound, but I remember basically being in that state for a good, 2 months after. Because I didn't have the right sense at the time to be like, hey man, stop eating food and do some cardio, get back on your diet. I didn't know. I had no clue. Same as Larry Wheels.
What I had no idea about is just how much weight I would put on in the 2 days following the show. So, believe it or not, but I weighed in just 48 hours ago at 232 pounds. As of right now, I weigh 284 pounds. What? I don't even think I've...
No cap. No cap. Straight up. Look, and after that experience I had, I said it to all of my athletes because I experienced myself. Every time I give somebody advice, I give it because I had to go through it the hard way. If I'm giving you guys advice, it's because I already made the dumbass mistake that I'm going to tell you guys to not make. And it's literally, I swear, I shit you not, you compete on a Saturday, if you blow it, you're going to be big as hell and fat on Wednesday. I promise you that. And why? Because it's that mindset that people have that when they start doing a competition or they're doing a transformation or whatever it is, that they deserve to binge eat after. That the notion is that I deserve to have all of the things in the world because I work so hard, when that train of thought is it's counterintuitive. It's contradictory. You work your ass off for 16 weeks, 12 weeks, hours of cardio, working your butt off to look absolutely amazing for one day, and by Wednesday you blew it all. And what happens to you after that day? Do you understand how hard it is to go back onto a diet after you've gained that much weight in such a short period of time, after you just worked your ass off? I'll tell you what happens. Depression starts kicking in. Anxiety starts kicking in. You can't look in the mirror. That's when a lot of the EDs start to really formulate and take place. They start to develop right then and there.
Consumed enough fluid and solid food to add up to 40 pounds inside of my body right now. I just don't understand where it all came from. But I'm going to try and backtrack for you guys and help you understand how I got here today. So, immediately after the show, the first thing I did is went to my favorite burger spot, Five Guys. I had 2 bacon double cheeseburgers with a large fries.
And let me tell you something now. While he's going to explain this, I'm going to tell you guys when he could have stopped and would have been completely fine. Let's keep going.
Then, I went home, took a 2-hour break, still starving, stomach already engorged and stretching and uncomfortable, and went to Ruth Chris Steakhouse to indulge in a very nice 16-ounce ribeye steak with a side of the best sweet potato mash in the world.
He's still good. Tell you now from experience. I got a decade of bodybuilding under my belt. I've coached hundreds of competitive bodybuilders, both men and women. I would say 1,000 in 10 years that I've coached, just normal people. Like I would say including both lifestyle and bodybuilding, but I have complete experience with this. And I'm telling you right now, as of right now, he is still good. I'm going to tell you why.
The sweet potato casserole at Ruth Chris, out of this world. Even better than Boston Market, dare I say. Then I went home and I was feeling a bit peckish, so I had a Pop-Tart, a whole bag, which is about, I think, 500 calories or so.
And this is when things start to get bad.
And even after that, not satisfied, went downstairs, stomach even more stretched out than this right here, and had a couple noodles. Went to bed on an absolutely full stomach, slept like a baby. I take that back. I was tossing and turning the whole night. Stomach in absolute knots. I was declaring war in my stomach.
Let me tell you this right now, guys, and I'm not going to speculate, but I can promise you guys, and it happened to me, and it's happened to a lot of people. But what people don't tell you about everything, what happens, like what people don't want to tell you, is they don't want to tell you that when they went to bed and they struggled to sleep, they got up and threw up. That's what people don't want to tell you. And I'm not saying that that's what Larry Wheels did, but I'm telling you right now that a large majority of people that go through this, you can't get to sleep. You literally can't. Tossing and turning because you can't breathe. You literally cannot. You're sitting like this and you're like, I remember in bed just being like I couldn't take a deep breath because my stomach was so full. I couldn't move. And the only way I could fix that for me to be able to sleep properly, to be able to take a deep breath, was for me to make myself. You catch my drift. That's what the start of EDs right then and there.
Okay, at this point, I was like, I've earned it. Yeah, I've been told not to take it too far, and after a couple of days, slow down. So I'm thinking, I'm not even half a day in, so I got nothing to worry about right now. Woke up that morning, about 260. So just from those few meals and a few glasses of water, I was already up 30 pounds. All right. Then we're still under the 24-hour period. Then that morning, I went to Denny's.
So let's just say you eat 200 grams of carbs. That's 400 to 600 grams of water with it on top of the water that's gonna go back into your body that you pushed out with the diuretic or naturally or whatever it is. The water that you push out of your body needs to come back in, and it's gonna come back in with the food you eat. So where he was good, he was completely fine eating Five Guys and eating his steakhouse meal. You know why? Because Larry Wheels is a big ass dude. And this goes for everybody. When you're dieting and you go to your depletion state and whatever else, you can eat enough. You've basically depleted your body of glycogen, which means that you can eat the right amount of food and still be completely fine. Eating what he did on Saturday was not that bad. Now, it all also depends on how much you're eating during your carb up. So if you're carbing up a ton to go on stage, then eating after, you need to be a lot more smart about that. But for me, I don't have to eat a bunch of food or carbs for me to be able to fill out. And for the most part, if you're doing this properly and you get into the right shape and you're doing it right, you don't have to binge eat or eat a ton of food when you're trying to carb up the first place anyway. Understanding the process of this is knowing that you're eating for a reason. You're eating for performance. You're eating for a look. You're eating just enough to fill your muscles up, the glycogen stores fill up a little bit more, to show that, to pump, to volumize, and that's it. We're not eating to, oh man, I get to have a burger and fries, yay, I can't wait. It's like, no, we're eating that food or those items to help our body look better. So we're nibbling. We're eating a bit. For the most part, when you see people spill over, it's because they ate too much. So if you're eating properly, you can go and eat after and be completely fine. But it's the day after. It's the extra mile that people go because they think that I gotta eat. It's only been 24 hours, man. I can eat as much food as I want. And all of a sudden, guess what? Wednesday, you put on 50 pounds.
I had cinnamon roll pancakes, bacon, hash browns, sunny side up eggs. Walked across the street back to my hotel, still peckish. Had a cinnamon roll bagel with lots of cream cheese and some orange juice.
Listen to what he said. Every item he said. Look, all I heard was carbs, salt. You deplete yourself down to nothing, push all the water out of your body, and then you just decide to eat a bunch of carbs and sodium? No. That's not what you do. Here's what we have to understand with the body, what's happening, right? Consciously, Larry Wheels is feeling the effects of his body's natural hormones, ghrelin, saying eat food because you've been in a deficit or whatever for so long. So when you go into a place of depletion like that, the rebound is your body. His body is saying we need to get ourselves back to our regular baseline. We need to go back to health again. The only problem is that we have to be the ones that are saying enough is enough. Because those cravings that are sparked by hormones in our body that are trying to keep us alive, they're at an all-time high. And we interpret it as, I'm hungry, I deserve all this, I'm gonna eat. And then we eat and 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 we do what he did. We all did it. I've done it before. I did it twice. Number one, here's what happens. You start your diet off, your prep, your transformation, whatever it is. We'll say prep because it's bodybuilding. 16 weeks, your calories are here. Your food's going down, your cardio's going up. And by the time you're on the show, your cardio is probably at the highest, your exercise at the highest, but you're giving your body the most minimal amounts of fuel, just enough to look good on stage. The biggest mistake that happens is, I didn't hear him say this, but I'll probably miss it at the end, but whatever. I'm just saying it's because people they make this biggest mistake, is that when the show's done, they eat and they forget that the entire time that they were in prep, they were moving. They were moving. Your body was moving for maybe an hour and a half. You're doing an hour to an hour and a half of cardio every single day. You're training your body every single day. And then you go on stage and the day that you do the least amount of stuff in the entire time you've been prepping is literally the last 3 or 4 days of your prep. And then as soon as you're done, you spike a bunch of food in because your body's like, we need food. And then the biggest mistake that everyone makes is they stop moving. Stop their cardio, and they might stop training as hard. Most people don't stop training because they might get photo shoots the next day and they want to look good, like, oh yeah, I got a nice pump, I don't want to keep training. For the most part, people F off on training, they F off on the cardio. And then drinking a bunch of water because they're thirsty as heck, and then they stop doing cardio the next day, and they realize by the time it's too late, shit, I get a reverse diet, and then it's tough. How do you avoid this? You don't stop moving. Cardio and training. After you're done your show, you're still doing the cardio you were doing before. You can reduce it. If you're doing an hour and a half of cardio, you can reduce it to an hour. You can reduce the intensity, but you want to keep moving because you got to keep flushing that out. You got to keep burning calories, right? Now, let's just say you're doing it right. We're going to still do our cardio the next day. We're going to have one meal with a dessert, and you're going to eat, you're going to have some electrolytes and stuff to just help with your body getting electrolytes back to normal. Then the next day in the morning, you're gonna get up and you're gonna go do your cardio before you eat anything. You're just gonna do an hour of cardio, but you're not gonna go after you've done your hour of cardio and be like, I did an hour of cardio, so I'm gonna have the same meal that he had for breakfast. You're gonna go have your favorite food, your item for breakfast. It's gonna be one thing on the menu. And that one thing on the menu isn't gonna be pancakes, bacon, hash browns, bunch of salted eggs, and it's gonna be like, just have pancakes. Just have your pancakes and just call it a day. Here's my thing. 20 pounds after a show in a week is very reasonable. You gotta understand, 10 of those pounds are gonna be water, the other 10 pounds are gonna be the influx of food coming back in, and that's fine. But then we wanna ride on that 20 pounds and not gain much more than that after the show. I get all my clients that I tell them, look, you're gonna gain 10 pounds of water after, period. We wanna minimize the influx of more water retention from making sure that we're not eating a ton of carbs after. My biggest advice is, man, go get it some fruit after the show. Some good, maybe some strawberries, some watermelon, some melons or whatever, some oranges, or and have a salad with your protein. You can have some fries after, or a burger. That's fine. It's totally fine to have that, but don't overdo on that, and make sure we're still training, make sure we're still doing our cardio, and you're going to continue that for 6 to 8 weeks after the show. So you heard it, guys. You're going to do a transformation or a bodybuilding show. Understand your body is going to naturally rebound. Your body's going to naturally want to eat food, but it's up to you to have self-control, but also a strategy and a plan, and stick to it. Stick to it. Because I tell you right now, the saddest part about competing for a show and putting all that work in, I'm talking all the 16 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks of work, at least an hour a day of training, maybe at least an hour of cardio for 16 weeks, to be on stage for only maybe 2 to 5 minutes max, and to see it all gone in a couple days, that's when depression and anxiety start kicking in. That's when the ED starts kicking. That's when you start shaming yourself. That's when you don't know where to go. And that's when you're like, I've already made it this far. There's no point of me going back. I might as well continue to eat. And then you're in a mess. So guys, take the advice I gave you to avoid the same mistakes that Larry made and the same mistakes that I made when I did my first show. Have a strategy. Keep moving, do your cardio, and have self-control, and you can avoid this. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron, progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing.